Some of you have been asking about my latest workouts and what they look like. Well, here you go. Here's a video of my latest workout. Starting off always with looking at my scoreboard. Let's pretty that up a little bit. There we go. Now you can read it. Dips, alternated pull-ups, shrimp squats, strap, side planks, strap, stretch outs, strap, bridge. This is a workout that's not normal for me. Lately what I've been doing is I've been doing this monkey bars, monkey challenge, the Misogi. It's about 4 months or so. And that's been my normal workout, but these other little feeder workouts, these are supplemental. So this is dips, of course, starting off. We're using my bodyweight master here and just getting normal, good old-fashioned bodyweight dips. I did this workout right after a trip to Seattle, so I'm kind of jet-lagged. I've been traveling. I haven't been sleeping that well, so who knows what I'm going to be getting from this kind of a workout. It's one of those roll the dice and just see where things fall sort of deals. And sometimes those are the best kind of workouts. So getting my dips here, focusing on back tension, stabilizing the shoulder a little bit more, getting a lot better from it, you can see from my older videos. And what I'm trying to do is progress my dips, progressing the second set. So I had a set of 15 and a set of 9 in my previous one. This is what I call backfilling sets. So in the second set, I'm trying to match the 15 repetitions that I did beforehand. This is how my scoreboard program works, is you get a good number on the first set, and then you try and build up the subsequent sets, and you don't increase the number of reps on the first set or two until you can match it with the following sets. So from this, I got a little bit more progression. Dips, instead of 9 on the end, I got 11, so I cross that out and I write 11. If I didn't do any better than that, I wouldn't have written anything down. All right, time to change on over. Moving the bars and the bodyweight master. Everything's very fast changeover for the exercises. Gives me clear room to work. Now I have my Commando Pull-Ups. These are always a little bit more challenging for me, especially after sitting in airplane seats, and I've been in conference rooms for all weekend long, so not expecting a whole lot from this. You can see my range of motion of my shoulders a little bit on the short side, but it's still a fairly challenging workout. And then, of course, you got to get the other side here. This is a tough one because while my underhand grip arm is working a little bit harder, this is a progression from a narrow or close grip pull-up, it is still working both arms to a pretty good degree. So it's not like one side is working, the other side is just completely taking it easy. Now the second set here, so it's technically 4 sets of pull-ups where one side is getting worked a little bit more than the other. I'm trying to focus on external shoulder rotation, keeping my back engaged as much as I possibly can, not getting too bicep dominant, making sure that my elbow is in tight to the side. That helps to prevent the little tendonitis and the twings in the elbow. Used to have that all the time, no more. And this is basically this is the money set right here. This is the one I have trouble with. The last set that I wanted to get 2 sets of, or a set of 8 and then a set of 7, and I maxed out pretty much close to a set of 6 or 5.5 if you can. So I'm just going to stop, kind of shake out a little bit. I want to still get the same number of repetitions on both arms. So I shake out a little bit. I just got to get 2 more here, grind them on out. That way it's pretty even between the 2 arms. Close enough. All things considering, I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. I got a progression on my dips, and things stayed fairly stable on my pull-ups. Put the bar in a little bit lower than it was before. Now I've got my shrimp squats. This one's just going to be a continuous back and forth. Been getting a lot more into this shrimp squat style of leg exercise as opposed to the pistol squat lately, just because I find these to be a very unique challenge. They are relatively more difficult, I find, than the pistol squat. I know a lot of times people will kind of say things like, oh, the pistol squat or the body weight leg exercise is not challenging enough and so on. And oftentimes that's because they're not doing it in the challenging enough version. And when you bring your weight more further back on single leg squats, then things get a lot harder real quick. So if you're doing like pistol squats, put your hands behind your head instead of having your arms way out, stretched out in front of you. And what that does is it brings the leverage closer to your foot. So instead of having your weight all forward, it brings the weight backwards. So shrimp squats, what you're doing is that leg, the non-squatting leg, is instead of it being in front of you where it can counterbalance and make the exercise easier, it's now behind you as well as one of your arms as well. So you've got a lot more of your own body weight behind your working leg, which makes it significantly more difficult. I'm using the range of motion limitation of my knee on the floor so it's not terribly deep. And I'm also assisting myself with my other arm on the Bodyweight Master horizontal bar there, because this is a very difficult exercise. Of course, you can progress this by having the bar lower. You can go without the bar, so there's no upper body assistance at all. And of course, there is also the jumbo shrimp squat, which is where you do it on a slightly elevated platform so that your knee can drop down below the height of your working foot. Very challenging, very difficult. You can see my calves are working, my hips, quads. I usually feel this quite a bit more actually in the quads than typical pistol squats. It's becoming one of my favorite new leg exercises, and I don't think it's any coincidence that as soon as I started doing these, things like my skiing and my cycling improved quite a bit as well. So I got a progression there as much to my surprise. Instead of 2 sets of 6, I got 2 sets of 7. So I erase it and I write in the new numbers. So next up is side strap planks. I apologize right off the bat. I did not get my full set on this. I thought I had hit record on my video, so I only got one side of me doing this. Of course, I do this on both sides, couple, and I decided to make it a little more dynamic, driving the hips towards the floor, then coming back up. Got my feet there in my foot slings. Those are my custom foot slings. You can find out how to make those on my DIY playlist on my YouTube channel. Those are much better than any sort of a classic foot sling where it's just a simple nylon strap. That one is adjustable. All right, so quick reel there. Then we are on to basically the stretch outs. I call these stretch outs. They're basically like ab wheel rollouts. This is on my Bowline trainer. And I know it feels funny to call these a roll out because you're not rolling. You're mostly just stretching out. But it's basically the same exercise. You're on the balls of your feet. You're keeping your body in a stiff plank or hollow body position, and you're extending yourself out through the flexion of your shoulders. Those are my new handles. I just wanted to show those off. Those I got from Inspire. I just took the handles, put the ropes through them. They work really well. Learning a valuable lesson these days that sometimes it's worth it to pay for quality. I know a lot of DIY suspension trainers use PVC, and that's okay. It's not bad. But I find that it's definitely worth the extra few dollars to invest in a decent quality set of handles, just because that's the part you really interact with. That's the point you come in contact with. And having a surefire grip and consistent length and diameter makes it a lot better. Just showing you here real quick. These are my Bowline trainers. If you haven't found it, just Google Bowline suspension trainer and you'll find out how to make these. They're very, very simple. All they are is knots. They don't require any hardware. They don't require any stitching or anything. All you need is 2 lengths of rope and some sort of a plastic handle, and you can attach them anywhere, but they do require a little bit more adjustment than something on a sliding system with like buckles and cam buckles. And then just to finish off, because I was on the flight, because I was sitting all weekend, I want to just kind of get this like stretching bridge type of thing. These are what I call my strap bridges or rope bridges. They are a good way to light up the entire posterior chain. They're not the most grueling, hardest exercise in the world, although I will say that as my hamstrings were starting to get turned on to a good degree, they did cramp up for the first week or two that I did these. So they're a little more intense on the muscles than you may assume, but they're a good way to get that arc in your back, turning on the hamstrings, the glutes, feeling how to lift your hips, turning on the spinal erectors, getting your entire posterior chain engaged. You can even see my calves working there. Everything on the backside working in a very gentle yet pretty intense way to improve the mobility in the front of the body while improving the strength in the back of the body. There's a better view here, so I apologize for the lackluster camera angle that I had beforehand. And sometimes this move is a hit or miss for me. Bridges have always been a very challenging thing for me to do. It took me a long time to even do step 1 in the Convict Conditioning series. And the lesson there is that some things you're going to be better at, some things are going to be harder for you, and that's just part of being human. We all have the things that we're going to struggle with. We all have the things that we're going to be good at. And I get emails all the time from people saying, I can't do X, Y, and Z, or so-and-so says I should be able to do this and I can't do it, and that's perfectly fine. Nobody's going to have the same standard that fits to everybody. The key is to do what you can with what you have and progress where you are. So there's my final. I got progression on dips, shrimp squats, and everything else stayed on point, and I felt really good for doing this workout, even though I kind of felt like not doing it. Questions down below. Be fit, live free.